Hi guys, Christy here. I am getting ready to do my very first woodworking project, and I'm going to video that and share it with everyone. I've decided to make a baby gate. So as you guys can see back here, we have a baby gate that doesn't quite fit, that we are using to keep the pups down on the first floor for when we're gone. And I have seen a lot of shared images on Pinterest of really cute barn door baby gates, and I thought that would be a really easy first woodworking project. So we'll see how it goes, and I'm going to actually video the Jason and me doing the instructions, following the instructions. Jason's my soulmate, who is really good at woodworking. I'm actually going to follow some instructions that I printed. These are free, and they are from, and I'll put the link at the bottom of the video. They're from Remodelaholic. I don't know if you can see that printout. Great set of instructions, measurements. So I'm really excited to follow this. We did have to make some modifications right off. His gate was 35 for 35-inch opening, and he was actually able to make his 35 inches tall. So with the dynamics of our staircase, we are actually going to have to make a 36-inch wide by 32-inch tall gate. So I'll also write out and include those down at the bottom, the changes and modifications that we had to do to make the gate work for us. So I also have already bought the hardware and stuff, but I'll come back to that when we install it. And so I'm really excited to share this with everybody. I'm hoping that this will motivate people to get out and do some projects for themselves. And it's really rewarding. I already do quilting. I make quilts, and making things with your hands is really rewarding. And I'm excited to take this leap from fabric into wood, and to take everybody along with me as I start this new adventure, this new craft. So anyway, I'm just really excited, and any feedback that will help is appreciated. This is my first video as well as my first woodworking project, so be gentle. And yeah, so we'll get started shortly, and I'll have some videos so that you guys can follow along and hopefully maybe even make a baby gate for yourself. So we'll see you soon. Hi guys, we're getting ready to get started on making the baby gate. Again, the instructions from Remodelaholic. They're really good. So I did my shopping already and bought the wood that I needed. I ended up using pine, and it was the Select Cut pine at Lowe's. And we have 1x6s and 1x4s. And again, these instructions are really great. They've got a lot of good graphics for the cuts and step-by-step instructions, which we're going to start with. And the first thing that it tells us to do is cut the front bottom rail to length on the miter saw, which is in front of us. And the instructions are to do 35 inches, but we talked about that. Our gate is 36 inches wide by 32 inches tall, so I'm going to cut that 36 inches. And there needs to be a front bottom rail and a front top rail, so I'm actually going to cut 2 of those. So I'm going to bring that board out now, mark it. All right guys, so we're getting ready to mark the wood, to mark this board. And before we can mark the board, we're actually going to need to square up the edges. And you can take your carpenter square and evaluate your edge to see if it's square. And if it's not, then you're just going to want to trim that up so that you've got a nice square edge. All right guys, so we're getting ready to make our first cut, and you'll see that I've gotten the board up here. It's again, it's a 1x6, and I'm just going to square up the end so that I can then make my measurement and make my cut. So let's do that really quick. Now I'm going to measure 36 inches.
You only have to measure once. Use your speed square to draw a line. So in a case like this, where your board's dangling, the cut board that you want is dangling, you can flip it around and cut from the right. So that you can put your hand on the board that you want. And make sure you cut on the right side of the line. Don't put your hand in close to the blade.
All right, guys, so we've cut the front and bottom, or the top and bottom of the front rail. And step 3 is to cut a back style to length on the miter saw. Use a framing square to square up the corners, and then we're actually going to start assembling. So again, his back style was 35 inches tall, but our gate has to finish at 32 inches. So we'll actually need to cut 31 inches because this gate has a cap on it, and the thickness of that cap is 3/4 inch. I was right, we'll do 31 1/4 because the cap will add 3/4 inch, which will give us a total height of 32 inches, which is what we need. So I will square up the ends of this board and then start making cuts at 31 1/4 inches to create that style. So I'm going to go ahead and make 9 more of those cuts. So I'm just going to go ahead and turn this off, and I'll come back when I finish making all of those cuts. Okay guys, I'm back, and I have made, at this point I've made all 10 of these cuts here, these back styles, and I've done the top and bottom front. And now I need to make these 2 side cuts, and I had to adjust my measurements. And again, I did 31 1/4 long for the back styles. And so to figure out what your front measurement needs to be, you have to take the width of these 2 cuts and subtract it from this 31 1/4 to get your measurement. And so when I did all the math, I'm at 20 1/4, and so I have to make 2 of those cuts. And this is the 1x6s. So, and yes, the 1x6s are 5 1/2, and I'm gonna do a little written blog on my website about that, to explain where that comes from, because that was actually a lesson for me today in woodworking, was that 1x6 is not literally a 1x6. All right, and so this is a board I previously cut from, so I'm not gonna have to square up the edge, so I'm gonna go ahead and make that cut. All right guys, and we are actually almost done. We have got to make probably what is the toughest cut, which is going to be this angled cut. which for me as a newbie is going to be tough. But just to go back and double check how he has us cut. Yeah, so we're going to cut that. And Jason's actually going to have to give me some instruction on this to do these 2 cuts. And I'll come back to you once he gets finished doing some teaching to me. And yeah, we'll get that, and then we'll make that cap cut, and we'll be ready to actually start assembling. So yay. So we'll be back. Okay guys, after going over the angled cuts with Jason, you'll actually see that he assembles that before he makes the cut. And for greater accuracy, it's better to do that. So we're actually going to do some assembly before we make these other cuts. But before we do that, one of the things that he suggests, I don't know if you can see in this picture, he's actually using a utility knife to chisel away these edges to give it a more rustic look. And so I'm going to just quickly show you an example of that, and then I'm going to turn it off because we have to do that to all the edges on the pieces that we cut. And then yeah, we'll come back, I'll turn this on, and you will just video us assembling this piece. Have this piece here. I'm going to angle you guys down so it's a little easier and safer to demonstrate. And so he's doing this almost like to me, I think about how I would cut a piece of fruit. I gotta be honest, that in his picture, his blade is coming towards him, and that makes me a little nervous. So I actually prefer to chisel away. And you just want to hold the blade at a kind of a shallow. It really is like peeling fruit. And you have to worry about this. You're going to sand this, but you really are going for kind of a hand look. So just chisel away, and whatever you come up with is going to be fine. And so again, we've got several pieces of wood to do, so I'm going to walk away again, stop the camera, and when we finish this and we're getting ready to do the we're getting ready to actually make the cuts, then I will come back to you. I'm sorry, when we're actually assembling, I'll bring you guys back in. Okay, see you soon. Okay guys, so we chiseled and sanded the edges of everything, and we're getting ready to assemble. And so we're using 1 1/4 inch. It calls for drywall screws, but all we had were decking screws. So we're just going to go ahead and use those. And we're screwing the backs in, these back stiles into what would be the front style, so the long front pieces. So I'm gonna just leave this running. We'll put a couple screws in, and then I'll hold it up so you can see it, and then I'll stop the camera and we'll do the rest of the screws, and then I'll show you the finished product. So here we go. While I was gone, we went ahead and screwed in the side pieces, so you can see that here. And what I want you to notice is the clamps that we're using. This is why I like videos, because again, his instructions and pictures are great, but it doesn't show you little tricks like this. And so you know, the wood has a natural bow in it, and to really get this wood together and so that you can get your screws in, it's really helpful to have some clamps to help clamp the wood together. And then we put screws in, and you can see I had to get coached a little with the drill, the grain of the wood, splitting. And see there's a bunch of nail holes. I don't know if you can see that, and I'll show you before. But this is what wood filler is for. So it's fine. This is also the back of the gate and not what people are going to see. So you can't be afraid to just go for it. And that's what we did. And the back of it is certainly not perfect, but we'll fix it in the end. So we're actually going to screw in the other side using the clamps. And as you can see, it's actually a really nice tight fit. So it's actually just in there right now with no screws on the back. And another thing that you guys did miss is we actually did have to trim each of these about a blade's length to get it to fit. So anyway, I'm going to stop again, finish this, and then we're going to come into, we're now going to be ready to make the cuts for the X for the center of the door. So we'll be back. Okay guys, so we're getting ready to make the X for the center of the door. And in the instructions, there's a little bit of math, and which is great, and math is really precise. But the lines aren't always precise in woodworking, especially in something like this where we've chiseled the edges and sanded for a rustic look. And so something that that Jason showed me how to do is basically what you want to do is create your board position, and then you want to measure the width of this board, which we did, and it's 5.5, so 2 3/4 is half of that. And so what we actually did is we got under here and we placed this board and brought this up so that we could mark under the board. And you want to make sure that your mark, your 2 3/4 mark, is really, really long and dark. And then what you do is you actually place your corner into that center mark on the board. And then you match it up, and you do the same thing on the other side. So you get in, again you measure, you're going to mark 2 3/4 as the center of the board. You're going to line up in these 2 marks, and then you're literally just going to draw a line to create basically the edges of your triangle. And that's what you're going to cut on, and that's going to give us a more precise fit. Again, math is really precise, but I find when you're doing a rustic piece like this and the wood's bowed, the lines just aren't always parallel and perfect. So we're gonna, I'm gonna get this up on the miter saw and make some cuts, and I'll record that for you. And then we'll do the second X, and we've actually almost cut all but one piece. And if we don't run out of daylight, we'll make that last cut, and you'll hopefully see an assembled door today. All right, great. See you in a minute.
Okay, it's going.
Okay guys, so I trained on this side, so I'm going to show you the technique for setting up your miter saw to make this cut. So one of the things that we did is we actually brought the table, is adjustable. We brought the table in to hold the wood steady. With this particular miter saw, you're going to just lift up here on the front. One of the things I am going to do is go ahead and unplug this, because I'm going to do a lot of shifting, and I'm new with the miter saw, so I'm going to do that for safety. So what I'm going to do is I want to turn the saw, and this actually has a locking mechanism that'll lock it set places. So I'm just going to turn it down and keep going, and I'm going to try to line the saw up, and I've got this mark on the wood. I'm hoping you can see this. And then what I'm going to do is actually I'm going to pull the saw down, and I'm actually going to push it back, and I'm just going to try to walk it along the wood. And can they see the line? You may want to come on this side. I just want you guys to see. I'm actually trying to walk this along the line to make a cut. And I love sanding, so I almost feel like if you're a little nervous, if you're pretty spot on and you want to go just to the right of your mark and sand this into place, you could do that. It's going to be a little more elbow grease, but you could certainly do that. So you're just going to continually nudge this and just keep testing until you feel like you have found the perfect spot, which I think I might have. Like it just needs to go out a smidge. All right, you guys, I feel really good with that position. So I'm gonna lock it into place. I'm gonna plug it back in. I'm gonna make my cut. Okay, great. Now, we have to do the same thing. We have to flip. Nope, I don't have to do that. Just kidding. So now I'm going to pull this up, unlock it again, and now we're going to turn again and line ourselves up to make this cut. Okay, let's put it in and see if this fits. Let's see how we did. And we're off just a little bit, and I think with some sanding, or do I have this flipped? Can you tell, Coach?
All right.
That's the right way. All right, you guys, I feel like we're just a little bit off on either side. And again, you can sand this down a little bit to get it in, or you can actually shave off with the miter saw. So I'm running out of light, so I'm gonna stop for tonight. We'll get this one side in, and then we'll pick up tomorrow in the daylight so you guys can see this. So thanks so much, and we'll see you tomorrow. Hey guys, just kidding. We're really trying to finish up, especially because we need to roll the saws back into the garage. So I just wanted to show you really quick what we did is we laid the board out just like before. We marked the center. Remember, we talked about that 5.5, 2 3/4, marked the center, and then we actually lined up the center and actually pencil marked where we're going to make our angled cuts. In addition to that, these are actually going to butt up against this board that's already in place. So we'll actually make cuts here as well to get that into position. So since I've already filmed the cuts before, we're just going to do the same thing, make these same angled cuts and get this put together, and then I'll flash a light on that really quick, and then we're going to assemble the rest of it, and I'll take it inside and give you guys a quick preview, and then we're going to have to stain it, and we'll come back to that in a couple days. Great. All right. Hey guys, so last video for the night. There it is, the almost finished gate. So we made those last cuts, just like I showed you, and then we drilled on the rest of the slates on the back. And the only thing else that it's going to get is a cap across the top, and then we got to put the hardware on. But that's after we stain it, finish it and stain it. So that's what we got through tonight. So we'll do some more tomorrow, but I'm actually going to try to get this video up soon. Maybe tonight, I don't know. It'll be my first time actually putting a video together, so wish me luck. And yeah, that's great. So we're tired, we're gonna shower, go to bed, and go again tomorrow. Bye guys.